Hi, my name is Aaron Linsdau. I'm a polar explorer and motivational speaker. Today we're at Schwabacher Landing in Grand Teton National Park. Schwabacher Landing in Grand Teton National Park is arguably the best reflecting pool for the Cathedral Group of the Grand Teton Range. All the mountains here are very beautiful and it's always spectacular, but a lot of times when you're driving along the highway, you park alongside the road, you take a photograph, it actually looks monodimensional. Code for boring. Yeah, you don't want to do that. So you say, hey, I want to step it up. I've seen these beautiful spots and locations, and then there's this glassy water and the Tetons there, and then it's reflected. This is the place, folks. Yeah, so it's spelled Schwabacher. I've seen several different spellings, but I go with the National Park spelling simply because they probably know the best. They put up the sign and everything, so this is definitely the place to go. Most people come to Schwabacher Landing in the morning. A lot of times when it's a spectacular morning and everything's beautiful, it's a busy season, you'll be shoulder to shoulder with people trying to elbow your way in to get a good spot to look along the bend of the river here to make your perfect composition or whatever, and it actually can be pretty dramatic in the morning. It's more entertaining to actually watch the people than sometimes to take the photograph. Often Schwabacher's is okay for sunsets. You have to wait for the mountain or the sun, sorry, to get behind the mountain here, because otherwise, like right now, it's super hazy and you can see Mount Moran here, and you can just barely see some color in there. So even though that the sky is really clear here in the Jackson Hole Valley right now, it actually, the dust, when the sun gets behind the mountains and blows through the dust, it really hazes it out and turns the mountains purple, but there's also neg texture, which makes them quite boring. So even though Mount Moran is a very dramatic and beautiful mountain, just by the nature of how the sunlight works here, that the sun gets back and it's all backlit and kind of looks like a bland shot. So if you're planning to come to Schwabacher's, you really want to come in the morning to early morning. Through the midday, it's okay. I mean, you'll get a perfect blue sky, you'll get some mountains. The light up here is actually very harsh because we're at 6,400, 6,500 feet. I don't know what the exact elevation is at Schwabacher's, but somewhere in the mid 6,000s, which means the sky lights up and makes everything extremely blue. So it can really trash your photos. So if you come here, think polarizer filter, maybe think a little bit of a warming filter if you get hung up in the middle of the day. A warming filter is actually something you can still use on a digital camera. Most people, they go into Lightroom and diddle around and warm things up, but sometimes it's nice to get the shot straight away. But like me, I'm kind of lazy with that now. I just adjust the white balance to flash, and that way I warm up an otherwise very blue sky. But all those filters aside, you still won't get the detail in the mountains like you see here. Also, there is a new tool. This is not a photography tutorial at all, but there's a program called Lightroom made by Adobe. They make Photoshop, and they've got this tool called dehaze, and you slide that thing up, and man, sometimes the mountains just pop out of nowhere. I don't know how they do it, but it's some mathematical magic. So just a word of warning, when you come here at the wrong time of the day, it's still beautiful, but you won't get the best photograph. When you come here, there's somewhat limited parking. You'll see the video of me driving through and just kind of give you an idea of what it's like to get here. In the morning can be crazy busy, and oh geez, if a tour bus shows up, I don't know if they're allowed down here, but man, the tour bus comes down here and whoa, jam-packed. But so what are the benefits of coming down here, and why is this so beautiful besides the reflection of the Cathedral Group on the water? Well, right here, I'll turn the camera a little bit. See if I can get that guy there. Yeah, there you go. Have you ever seen a beaver dam? Yeah, that's a beaver dam right behind me. Check that out. So depending on, let's get some dust off the camera here, depending on the time of day you come and whether the beavers decide to be cooperative or not, you'll actually see them swimming around and slapping their tail. I actually was here one time at night trying to do some night photography right in the reeds here. I'm getting all set up and all of a sudden I hear this whack, 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 whack with water. Whoa, what's that? It was a beaver. I kind of embarrassed myself there. Let's see, get back to where we were. Perfect. Let's see, yeah. So, nope, there we go. And I'm just kind of showing this just because it's kind of entertaining, just to see what it's like. So you actually can see a beaver dam in right here. So right by the parking lot, you walk on this trail right behind me, and you can check out the beaver dam. Now, if you want to actually see a more serious beaver dam and lodge, you walk that way, a couple hundred yards. It's like 500 feet. It's really nothing. It's not, I wouldn't say a wheelchair-friendly trail, but I have known people with the little electric scooters. They get back there. There's actually a couple there are a couple beaver lodges back there, and there's several beaver dams, and this spectacular pond full of slime. If you like pond slime, boy, I've got a place for you. Just kidding. Now, the beaver dams at Schwabachers are really good, and they're exemplary models of that animal's industriousness. If I look down the creek here, I can actually see even more beaver dams. So those things go crazy here. Beaver here were actually trapped in the 1800s and through, I don't know, whenever, 1900s, and people used them for their pelts because they're incredibly soft. Now, most people, anti-fur and all that, whatever. These beavers are rodents. Just remember that. Beavers are rodents. They're a little bit cuter than rats, but that big old nasty tail, ugh. But pretty cool. Also, when you go across here and go along the trail, just keep heading back, and you'll see this big slime pond. Sometimes there are moose back there too, so this isn't the prime location for moose. The Gros Ventre, or spelled Gros Ventre, campground, there's almost always a bull moose and a cow and a calf or two, so that's actually the best place. But sometimes you actually do just fine at Schwabacher Landing. Couple local hints that if you're going along and you're doing the pee-pee dance, there is a toilet right here, so you can get the call of nature taken care of. So that's actually pretty nice. There used to not be one down here, and the park finally put one in. Oh, thank goodness, because you're driving along, you're hitting site after site after site. You're like, man, I could really use a restroom. Well, they've got it. Yes, it's a pit toilet, I know. And this isn't the Ritz-Carlton, this is a national park. They make it pretty darn nice, but come on. Nature, they just like to keep it clean. Couple other things. The only way to get across the creek is if you want to decide to walk across the water. So unless you're Jesus Christ and able to walk on the water, chances are you're going to get wet. I saw a couple here, they were fly fishing, and they had their waders up to their armpits, and they just walked straight across, and they're headed for the main line of the Snake River. Funny thing, story I found when I think it was early in the summer, and I was over at Dornan's, a couple miles south of here, and I was talking to this couple, and they said, yeah, and then this one other lady said, yeah, her husband's stuck up at wherever he is, Schwabachers or some such thing, and they were trying to land, and I'm like, you can't land at Schwabachers directly, because even though this river does flow here, the river changes every year, so the maps that people use, you can't really get a canoe or kayak in here, and definitely not a bigger boat. So they tried to land at Schwabachers, and she saw that, and I said, no, he's probably at another location. It's like, are you sure? Like, oh, pretty confident. I have never seen a boat in here. Doesn't mean it can't happen, but access into this area. Now, you hear the name Schwabacher's Landing, right? Well, I don't know when boats came in here. I'm looking around, definitely not happening. When the spring runoff happens, the water level comes up probably another good foot, so theoretically you could get a canoe in here. Maybe I have seen a kayak in here. I don't know. Possible. But anyway, definitely don't think about this as a boating location, even though it's a landing location. This is much more of a, hey, come enjoy the beauty. It's super accessible. It's off the highway a bit, so generally it's not so loud and crowded. You'll hear cars crunching in the parking lot, but not so bad. So much calmer. So we can actually listen. I can hear a car on the highway. Now, if I had my better microphone kit, I could actually get over there and record the water rippling, but quite quiet, other than a few people talking. So Schwabacher's Landing, other than the morning craziness or if there's a crowd, really a good place. There's a photographer I know out here taking wedding photos. I mean, it's just a super popular place. You ask any locals, hey, have you ever been to Schwabacher's? And they look like you had a third eyeball here, you got some antenna coming out of your head. Schwabacher's is the premium photograph point to get the reflection of the Cathedral Group, or here, Mount Moran. Now right now, and that's actually another reason to come in the morning, because the air is generally calmer, and so you have far fewer trouble with ripples. Right now the air is totally still, so that Mount Moran shot is probably about as good as it's going to get. There's so much slime in the water that but you can see it. I mean, here, let me step out of the way. Check that out, friggin' beautiful. So if you're along Grand Teton in the area and you're headed for Yellowstone, this is a great spot to come. Also, because it's on the highway, you don't have to go through the park entrance, so you don't have to have your park pass to get in here. You just simply drive along, pop into Schwabacher's, and drop down. Sometimes the Park Service, maybe they're repairing the sign, I'm not sure why, they actually take the Schwabacher's Landing turn-off sign off, so you have no clue. Maybe a cruel trick. Also, during the winter, this used to be open, but now I guess because this is a critical animal habitat or some such thing, the park actually closes the gate up top, and there's supposed to be no human entrance up here. So during the winter, this place is an ixnay. Plus, once this part of the creek freezes over, it's not like you're going to get a great reflection. This whole zone, in fact, tends to be closed in the winter because it's critical wildlife habitat. So this is definitely a spring to fall sort of location. I guess you could ski in here. I don't know why, but best to follow the park rules. That way you don't get in trouble, stress the animals, and all such things like that. So this is the location when you see those beautiful photographs in Jackson Hole of, oh, where's that picture? This is it, folks. I'll see if I can remember to put one of my Schwabacher pictures in here. I'm not actually a landscape photographer, so mine aren't that good, but it works. Sorry, total fail on the tour guide thing. Completely forgot you can actually come and see river otters here, ducks, mallards. I don't know if I've ever seen geese here, but the river otters are, it's just like watching a bounding circus. I don't think it's the best location. The best location's at Jackson Lake Dam in the winter, but sometimes you actually catch those fun and gregarious animals here. So, my name is Aaron Linsdau. I am a polar explorer and motivational speaker. Thank you for joining me at Schwabacher's Landing in Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming. Please like and comment on my video, subscribe to my channel to help me out, and enjoy the world beyond experience, the world beyond your doorstep, and the world beyond your city limits. Thank you.